You're living inside a timeline, but it's not the only one available to you. Right now, surrounding you, infinite versions of reality shimmer just beyond perception, vibrating, waiting to be observed, waiting to be lived. And yet, most people remain caught inside a single repeating loop. The same choices, the same emotions, the same frustrations, wondering why nothing ever truly changes, even when they're working so hard to evolve. So let's break an illusion right here. You are not stuck because of fate, karma, or bad luck. You are stuck because your entire system, your mind, your body, your emotions, your field, is still tuned to the frequency of an old timeline. You can't escape it by wishing harder. You can't outthink it. And you certainly can't trick the quantum field by pretending. A quantum shift is not about manifesting harder. It's about inhabiting a new state of being so completely, so coherently, that the field can only reflect that new reality back to you. Let's decode this. Most people think manifestation is about desire, that if you want something badly enough, the universe will deliver. But here's the truth. No one tells you. Desire alone does nothing in the quantum. The field doesn't respond to how much you want change. It responds to how much you match the frequency of that change. So even if you're affirming, visualizing, scripting, you may still be signaling the old timeline. Why? Because beneath all your conscious effort, your body is still wired for the familiar. Your nervous system is addicted to old emotional chemistry. Your subconscious is looping fear, scarcity, doubt, even while your conscious mind is shouting, I want abundance, I want love, I want success. Here's the paradox. The quantum doesn't listen to the loudest signal. It listens to the dominant one. And your dominant signal isn't what you say. It's what you are. It's the vibration of your full system, your emotions, your expectations, your embodied energy. You can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if your stomach tightens, every time you look at your bills, the field registers contraction, not abundance. You can visualize love endlessly, but if your heart is still armored and afraid to open, the field reads loneliness, not connection. This is the loop that traps so many people. They believe change begins outside, with actions, circumstances, or results. But in the quantum, change begins inside, with state, coherence, and alignment. You must become the version of yourself who already lives in the desired timeline. Not someday, not when the evidence arrives, but right now. Here's where it gets extraordinary. Quantum physics shows us that all possibilities already exist. Every outcome, every version of you, every timeline, vibrating in the field of infinite potential. When you shift your vibration, you're not creating something new. You're collapsing into the version that has been waiting for you all along. This is why mystics, scientists, and inventors have all pointed toward frequency as the true fabric of reality. Nikola Tesla once said, if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have the key to the universe. He wasn't talking about magic numbers. He was describing harmonic patterns, the way the universe organizes itself through vibration and resonance. So the real question isn't, how do I get what I want? It's, who must I become vibrationally to align with the timeline where what I desire already exists? And becoming isn't pretending. It isn't forcing or faking. It's a full body, full soul recalibration into coherence. This is where the quantum timeline shift begins. You are not here to fight the old timeline. You are here to rise into the frequency of the new one. But before we go deeper, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what version of you has been making today's choices? What timeline have you been feeding with your thoughts, your emotions, your attention? And most importantly, are you ready to release that version so a new one can finally emerge? Breathe into those questions. Feel the edge as they touch within you. Because in the next part of this journey, we're going to uncover the invisible architecture that keeps you looping in the old reality. The subconscious programs, emotional imprints, and resistance patterns that quietly hijack your shift. This is the layer few ever talk about. The missing piece between knowing the theory of manifestation and actually living the transformation. So let's go there. Because the real reason most people don't shift has nothing to do with laziness, lack of desire, It's because they're still entangled with the version of themselves that was built to survive the old timeline. That version feels familiar, and the subconscious always chooses the familiar over the unknown. The old timeline doesn't need your permission to persist. It only needs your participation. Every time you react the same way, tell the same story, expect the same outcome, you reinforce the signal. It's like a well-worn path in the brain. Each repetition deepens the groove until the route becomes automatic. At that point, you're not choosing your timeline anymore. It's choosing you. Here's where quantum physics and neuroscience intersect. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect shows that observation collapses a wave of possibilities into one concrete event, a choice, a reality. But you're not observing with your eyes alone. You're observing through your beliefs, your emotions, your expectations. Now add neuroscience. 95% of your behavior is driven by the subconscious, the part that stores your emotional conditioning, trauma, memories, and identity patterns. That means most of the time, it's not your conscious intention collapsing the wave, it's your programming. So when people say, manifestation doesn't work, what they really mean is, I haven't yet shifted the inner observer that's creating my world. That's why you can change your job, your partner, your city, and still find yourself repeating the same emotional loops. Because no external change can override an internal frequency that hasn't evolved. Put simply, the timeline can't shift if the observer hasn't. So what keeps you anchored in the old one? Resistance. And resistance is subtle. It wears many disguises: overthinking, procrastination, emotional numbness, endless busyness, or the rational voice that says, be realistic. But beneath them all lies the same core belief. Your system thinks it's safer to stay the same than to leap into the unknown. That belief doesn't live in your mind. It lives in your body. Stored trauma, suppressed emotion, inherited fear, they're all coded into your nervous system. That's why you can know something intellectually and still not live it. It's why affirmations fall flat, why visualizations fade, why you keep looping through the same cycles. The resistance isn't hiding in your mindset. It's pulsing through your chemistry. When your nervous system falls out of regulation, it sends a subtle but constant message to the quantum field. I'm not safe yet. Even when your voice says, I'm ready, your body is still whispering, I don't believe you. And that contradiction, that energetic static, keeps collapsing the same limited timelines over and over again. It's not punishment, it's physics. Nikola Tesla once revealed, if you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He wasn't speaking in poetry. He was describing reality itself. Your life is a frequency. Every thought, every emotion, every breath, every gesture creates a vibrational blueprint, a pattern that either harmonizes with your desired reality or repels it completely. This is why people feel drawn to numbers like 3, 9, or sacred geometry. Something deep within them recognizes that the universe is written in pattern. That vibration is the language of creation. You are not just a human walking through life. You are a transmitter, a living generator of frequency inside a responsive field. And for most of your life, you've been broadcasting the same old signal for so long that you've mistaken it for your identity. But here's the liberating truth. You don't have to battle that pattern. You only have to stop feeding it. So let me ask you, where are you still vibrating in fear while declaring faith? Where are you still tensing for rejection while reaching for love? Where are you still calling in abundance while secretly feeling undeserving of it? These are the quiet contradictions that keep you tethered to the old timeline. In the next part of this journey, we'll move beyond theory into practice. The felt process of shifting timelines through embodiment. You'll learn how to bring your conscious and subconscious into sync, how to regulate your body into coherence, and how to start living as the version of yourself who already inhabits the new reality. But before we go deeper, if something inside you feels like it's waking up, if you can sense the truth of this settling into your system, stay with this work. Subscribe, join this field, and in the comments, write one word that names the loop you're ready to break. Fear, scarcity, silence, control. Naming it is not for me. It's for you. Because naming the pattern is the first act of dissolving it. Now we enter the stage that few people ever reach. Not because it's hidden, but because it's so simple. Most overlook it. Shifting timelines is not about commanding the quantum field to obey. It's about aligning so precisely with the version of you who already is what you desire, that the old timeline simply loses its hold. Think of the quantum field as a vast, infinite ocean of potential. Every version of you, every outcome, exists there as a wave waiting to be observed, waiting to be embodied. When you focus, when you align, you collapse a specific wave into reality. But you don't collapse it by wanting it. You collapse it by matching it. And matching isn't a thought exercise. It's a state of being. It's emotional, physical, vibrational coherence, where your whole system hums as one unified signal. So why do most people struggle to reach that state? Because they're trying to think their way there. They understand abundance intellectually. They believe love is possible. They know healing exists. But their body hasn't caught up to that knowing. Your body must know. Your emotions must know. Your breath, your posture, your tone, your daily habits. They all must begin to signal, I am now the version of me who belongs in this timeline. This is embodiment, and embodiment isn't a trend. It's the missing technology of transformation. It means living the frequency of your desired reality before the external world gives you permission to do so. For example, if you're stepping into an abundance timeline, embodiment might look like spending from twilight instead of panic, breathing when fear rises instead of tightening around it, meeting new opportunities with openness instead of bracing for disappointment. If you're entering a love timeline, embodiment might mean keeping your heart open. When it wants to shut down, it might mean taking small emotional risks, choosing vulnerability even when the old wounds whisper, hide. If you're aligning with a health timeline, embodiment might mean treating your body as though it's all really ready to heal its wound, already regenerating, feeding it with care, moving it with gratitude, resting it with reverence. See the pattern. You don't wait for the timeline to shift, to start living differently. You live differently, and the timeline shifts around you. That's why so many manifestation efforts fail. They are conditional. I'll feel grateful when I get the job. I'll relax when I meet the right person. I'll feel abundant when the money comes. But the quantum field doesn't operate through delay. It mirrors instantly. It's not testing you, and it's not withholding. It's reflecting you. This is why Tesla's Wisdom the 3, 6, 9 still echoes. These aren't superstitions. They're reminders. They point us back to the truth that life organizes itself through energy, not effort. So the real question becomes, can you become coherent? Can you bring your mind, your heart, your body, and your actions into harmony, even when nothing external has shifted yet? Can you hold the signal long enough for the wave to collapse into form? Because here lies the paradox. No one tells you the timeline doesn't shift when you're tired of waiting. The timeline shift when waiting is no longer part of your vibration. Breathe that in. This is the quantum code. The version of you who already has what you desire is not waiting somewhere in the future. They exist now, vibrating on a frequency you can tune into today. So ask yourself, if you were that version right now, how would you breathe? How would you speak? How would you move through this day? What tiny choices would shift? What emotional habits would soften? What conversations would you release? And which new ones would you begin? This isn't about dramatic gestures. It's about quiet, persistent alignment. In the next section, we'll take this from concept to lived practice so you can experience for yourself how coherence feels when the quantum begins to respond. How do you stop looping through information and finally begin living the shift, moment by moment? How do you stop chasing the future timeline and start embodying it now? Let's begin here. The only practice that transforms you is the one you actually live. We're in an age of infinite content, endless videos, books, affirmations, and still, most people never integrate because learning feels like progress. But embodiment is progress. True change happens the moment your breath, your choices, your actions start to reflect what you already know. So how do you bring the quantum shift into daily life? It begins with what I call micro-alignment. Most believe shifting timelines requires massive, dramatic action. But quantum reality doesn't respond to size. It responds to coherence. A single act, done with clear, aligned intention, has more power than 1,000 frantic gestures made from fear. Let's make this real. If you're stepping into an abundance timeline, your practice might be taking one conscious breath when scarcity thoughts start to spiral, feeling gratitude for what's already here. It might mean spending money with trust instead of tension, saying to the field through your calmness, I have enough. If you're moving into a love timeline, your practice could be as simple as keeping your shoulders open. When you want to shrink, reaching out in kindness when your instinct says withdraw, speaking warmth, even when your voice trembles. If you're aligning with vitality, your practice might be listening to your body's smallest signals, the way your chest rises, the way your heart pulses, choosing nourishment, movement, and rest from respect, not control, replacing self-criticism with quiet support. These small acts are not trivial. They're quantum codes. Each one tells the field, this is who I am now, not a version I'm hoping to become someday, the version I've chosen to embody today. And yet, here's what most people miss. The practice is never about perfection. It's about returning. You will wobble. You will forget. You'll catch yourself reacting from the old timeline. That's not failure. That's feedback. The power isn't in never slipping. It's in how gracefully you come back. Each time you notice yourself contracting and consciously breathe back into alignment, you're reinforcing the new frequency. Each time you choose calm over chaos, trust over control, you strengthen the signal. Each moment you act as though the new reality is already true. Even when nothing outside has caught up, you collapse the wave again and again. This is the dance of quantum embodiment. Now let's talk about tools, the bridges that help your system tune faster. For some, it's meditation, breath work, visualization. For others, sacred symbols or numbers like 3 9, 7, or specific sound frequencies that steady the field. These aren't magic tricks. They're anchors, reminders to your subconscious. I am resonating with my chosen reality. But no tool works without your participation. The ritual isn't the power you are. The tool only amplifies what you embody. So here's your invitation. Choose one pattern from the old timeline that you're ready to release. Then choose one small, practical act that reflects your new state of being. Do it today. Do it with presence, with sincerity, with love. It might be 3 conscious breaths before reacting. It might be saying one sentence from your highest self instead of your fearful one. It might be sitting quietly for a moment, feeling yourself surrounded by the frequency of your new life. It's not about what you do. It's about the energy behind how you do it. And remember, the quantum doesn't need time to respond. It mirrors the vibration you hold now as you walk this path. Remember, you are not alone. You are part of a field of beings awakening together, remembering their creative nature, reclaiming their role as co-authors of reality. This community, this channel, exists to walk beside you in that remembering. So before we move into the final chapter, where we'll explore how to sustain this shift and truly live inside the new timeline, take a moment to ground your intention. If this message has stirred something inside you, if you feel that pulse of recognition rising, stay close to this space. Subscribe, stay in the frequency, and in the comments, write one small act you're choosing to embody today. It could be as simple as breathe, trust, open, because your word, your act is a declaration, and your energy, it matters. So here we are, standing at the threshold of integration. You've explored the science, the field, the subconscious, and the embodiment. But now comes the final step, sustainability. Because the quantum field doesn't reshape. When you visit a timeline once, it reshapes when you live there. Most people treat manifestation as a single event, a visualization, a ritual, an affirmation. Then, when results don't appear instantly, they collapse back into the old vibration, never realizing the real transformation is in staying. Consistency, not intensity, is the master key. Sustaining the shift doesn't mean forcing yourself to feel good all. It doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It means developing the energetic resilience to return to alignment again and again. Every time you wobble and come back, you strengthen the frequency. Every time an old loop calls your name and you choose coherence instead, you reinforce the new timeline. Each moment you breathe, speak, or act, as though you already live in the desired state, the old timeline loses its hold. This isn't punishment. This is mastery. You are becoming the quantum signal itself, not occasionally, but continuously. So let me offer a simple map. First, daily awareness. Before the to-do list, begin with tuning. Ask, what frequency am I bringing into today? Am I carrying fear or trust, struggle or flow? Choose the tone before your feet touch the ground. Second, embodied action. Throughout the day, practice micro-alignment. Notice when your behavior matches your new timeline, and when it doesn't. If you want abundance, act with generosity, not scarcity. If you want love, open instead of armoring. If you want vitality, nurture instead of neglect. Tiny, repeated acts shape timelines far more powerfully than rare, dramatic ones. Third, emotional regulation. You will be triggered. You will doubt. That's part of being human. But the mic isn't in avoiding the fall. It's in how you return. Breathe. Ground. Reconnect with the version of you who already knows, this is who I am now. Fourth, community and symbols. Surround yourself with reminders that keep you coherent. Symbols, mantras, numbers, sacred patterns. They're not superstition. They're anchors. They remind your subconscious where home is. Stay close to communities that lift your signal. Listen to voices that speak the language of your chosen timeline. Let your external world become an ally to your internal frequency, not a distraction pulling you back into the noise. And finally, gratitude. Gratitude is not a mood. It's an amplifier. It is the energetic signature of already having. When you practice gratitude, you tell the field, I am aligned, I am open, I am whole. That vibration magnifies coherence and accelerates the collapse of your chosen timeline into form. Remember, you're not doing this to get somewhere. You're doing it because this is the somewhere. You are not chasing the new timeline. You are becoming it. And before we close, I want to thank you for walking this path with me, for bringing your attention, your breath, your energy here. You are not the same person who pressed play on this video. Something in you has shifted. A subtle hum, a new awareness, a new code unfolding quietly beneath the surface. The true magic isn't in remembering every word we've spoken. It's in what you do next. So here's my invitation. Not an assignment, not a list, a living, breathing experiment. In the next 24 hours, surprise yourself. Do one thing, just one, that belongs to the version of you who already lives inside the new reality. It might be a choice, a gesture, a conversation, or a silent decision that no one else will ever see. It doesn't have to be big. It only has to be real. And when you do it, know this truth in your bones. You're no longer waiting for change. You are being it. If this message has stirred something within you, if you felt that spark of recognition, that pull toward your own coherence, I invite you to subscribe, not to follow a channel, but to join a living field, a collective resonance where awakening isn't rare, it's normal, where raising the frequency together becomes our baseline. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for daring to remember who you truly are. Keep going. Keep choosing. Keep surprising yourself, because every time you do, the quantum field listens, and it always responds.